Good morning, everyone. Greetings from my living room once again. And it is my joy to be with you this morning. And I'm just sending my love to all of you. I miss you so much. And just sending you all love, sending you all health, wishes for health and peace and joy. And so here we are. So let's take a deep breath. And let's just start our time together in prayer. So if you feel comfortable where you are, just take a deep breath. Let's take a deep breath and let's just open our hearts to be blessed by this time in community and virtual community. And we just give thanks this morning for 21st century technology that brings us together in this really beautiful way. In the midst that's all that's happening in our world, we just take a moment to send peace and love and comfort and well-being. And thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for being in this virtual community. And we might not be together in person, but I know I certainly feel your heart and your love. I feel the sacredness of community right here and right now, because we know there is truly no time or space that can limit the oneness we share. And so it is. Amen. So hi, I want to say hello. Hi, Bill and Catherine and Edie and Jane and Judith and Dave and Shirley. Thank you for being here. It's fun to see your comments. So I would like to share some transformational opportunities with you. This feels like an especially important time because we're not together. And so we need to just be reminded of the things that Unity of Gaithersburg is doing to keep us connected. So, as you heard from me last Sunday, all in-person activities have been suspended through April. And then at the end of April, we will check in again and just see where we are. So during this time, here are a few reminders. On Wednesday evenings at 7 o'clock, I am facilitating a Facebook Live midweek moment, just for a few moments in the middle of our week, just to come together and just center and reflect and meditate, and just the intention for us to stay peaceful as we navigate these times. So tonight, I'm excited that we are starting our Zoom community chat at 7 o'clock. So for those of you who would like to come together online just to check in and just to see each other. And I know that I just want to know how you're doing. I want to know how your heart is. So let's have a community Zoom chat tonight. So you can get to the meeting, click on the link in our newsletter or on our Facebook page, and you will then receive the actual link to join the meeting via email. So if you haven't joined and you want to sign on today, that is just fine. Just email Edie directly at admin@unityofgaithersburg.org, and she will send you the link to join the meeting. I'm so excited about that. I can't wait to see you tonight at 7 o'clock. And I'm also really excited about those of you that have posted on Facebook your sweatshirt t-shirt, with the family-friendly, inspiring message, something that inspires you when you wear it. We've had a few people do that. I'm just going to keep it going. So if you feel inspired to connect with us and post your picture on Facebook, on our Facebook page, with an inspiring piece of your wardrobe, we'd love to see that. And also, we would love to have you send us a picture. Edie and I are no longer working in the office. We're working from home, but I have to pop in, every now and then just to check on things. And so if you send me minister at unityofgaithersburg.org, or you can send it to Edie and she'll forward it to me. Your picture, because we want to fill every seat in our sanctuary with your beautiful image. And so so far we've almost got about 50. It's so fun. So when we fill it up, I can't wait to send you a picture of all the beautiful lights that you are. And you being in that sanctuary, I just feel your love and I hope you feel ours. So, all right, this Friday is Good Friday. And so tune in to our YouTube channel at 7 p.m. For a service. It's going to be all about releasing so that we can let go and we can rise anew on Easter Sunday. So tune in this Friday at 7 p.m. on our YouTube channel for our Good Friday service. I have an announcement to make about our SEE week. Our SEE week is still happening May 31st through June 5. However, it felt necessary to make the decision to have all of our classes offered online. There will be no in-person learning on our campus for our SEE week this week. It was a difficult decision, but it was a necessary decision. And so we're moving forward. And so there has been a faculty change for SEE. Reverend Robert Brummett has passed the torch to Reverend Kelly Isola to teach his classes, the classes that he was going to teach online. So Reverend Kelly Isola is now teaching meditation practices and healing and wholeness. And she's amazing. She's my classmate. She and I were adjunct faculty at Unity Institute and Seminary. She's amazing. And so you will love having classes with Reverend Kelly as well as the rest of our amazing faculty. So registration is up and live on our website. Sign up. You will be blessed by these online classes. And more details will follow how that's all going to look. I want to put a plug in for the women's retreat. So this weekend, actually, the women were going to meet, and a wonderful retreat was planned by Edie Crane and Carol Plummer. And so due to what's happening, that needed to be postponed. However, they have created a day retreat on Saturday, April 18th from 9:30 to 4 and for a love offering of $40. And it's called Calm in the Midst of the Storm. I mean, is that just fantastic? And you'll be able to reconnect with each other and explore ways to maintain our center in the midst of the uncertainty swirling around us. So sorry, fellas, this is just for the gals. So if you have attended a women's retreat before, or if you never have and you would like to experience this incredible energy, please register on our website or in our newsletter. And for more details, email Edie at admin@unityofgaithersburg.org. So, all right, let's take a deep breath and center ourselves as we reflect on the daily word. Today's focus is surrender. And our affirmation is surrendered, I experience deep peace and well-being. At times, life flows smoothly, and at other times, it may feel like a struggle. If I find myself struggling with what's happening around me, or am in conflict with myself or another person, I cease any resistance now. I let go and turn within to access the peace that lies beyond any circumstance. I begin in quiet contemplation, laying down the defensive armor of strongly held convictions and any weapons of judgment or criticism. This is a conscious act of trust and courage. I then can relinquish control and surrender to my true spiritual identity. As I move into the silence, I feel my heart open and my awareness expanded. I remember that I am a whole, infinite being, capable of expressing unbounded love, joy, strength, and compassion. I surrender to this truth and experience deep peace and well-being. And from Psalm 46:10, be still and know I am. And so now let us prepare for meditation by taking a deep breath, just a slow, deep breath in and slow exhale out. And follow that deep breath with two more deep, slow breaths in and out. And just allow those deep, conscious breaths to begin to quiet the mind and still the body. And as you breathe normally now, just begin to follow the breath as it moves gently in and gently out. And if busy thoughts want to distract you right now, just gently and compassionately shift your focus and attention to the breath, moving in and moving out. And again, just noticing if anything is distracting your focus this morning from the movement of the breath, sounds around you, sensations in the body, thinking, feelings. Just gently and compassionately affirm silently to yourself, peace, be still. Peace, be still. Just follow the movement of the breath and allow that following to bring your awareness to the present moment. And continue to silently affirm if there's a distraction from this focus and this present moment awareness of peace, be still. For in this silent affirmation of peace, be still, we are recognizing the peace of our being, the peace of our true nature that lives within regardless of what's happening in the outer world. And as we acknowledge this peace that we are inherently, we quiet distractions, we quiet busy thoughts, we quiet any ways that we give power to what's happening around us. And we remember that peace is a simple breath away. Peace and the stillness is right here and right now. So as we move now into a time of silence, I invite you to continue to silently affirm, peace, be still. If there is any distraction from present moment awareness, peace, be still in the silence. So we take a deep breath now. And we allow our awareness to be in this present moment. In this present moment where there is peace. Where we have the ability to connect and align our thoughts with our true nature and be that expression of peace in the world. So one more deep breath. For the peace that we are. Oh, How grateful we are. And so it is. Amen. Amen. So, happy Palm Sunday, everyone. So, one Palm Sunday, there was a priest who was announced that he was passing out miniature crosses made of palm leaves. And so he advised his congregation, he said, put this cross in the room where your family argues the most. And he advised, when you look at it, the cross will remind you that God is watching. So as a woman was leaving church, she noticed that the woman in front of her walked up to the priest, shook his hand, and said, I'll take 5. Oh no. Well, I certainly hope that is not what you would ask the priest for. But however, I acknowledge that this is a very interesting time in which we are living, and our new stay-at-home order from the governor that went into effect this week means that we are even closer to those with whom we live. And so it can be an interesting time for us to stay peaceful, and especially amidst the headlines that we get every day. So I wanted to continue the message series for our Sunday morning services called Navigating These Times, Unpacking Our Spiritual Toolbox. And since it's Palm Sunday, I felt like I wanted to pull from the wisdom of Jesus and his experience during this week that we call Holy Week. And I know I've talked about this before, but it just felt really important because as I was reading it again, and I've read it many, many times, it seemed to me that we could learn from Jesus's process as he navigated this week, how he learned the art of surrender, how he moved through his process to access surrender with all that he was dealing with. So, all right, let's review the story of Jesus. So, Palm Sunday, Jesus was coming into Jerusalem. And this was the culmination of 3 years of his ministry, where he had been traveling and healing and teaching. And, Jesus's primary teachings were the kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you, and it's right here and it's at hand. And he taught his greatest commandment, which is love. And so, how appropriate for him to kind of come home to Jerusalem at this culmination of his ministry. However, the Pharisees and the Sadducees were not happy with Jesus. And if you remember, the Pharisees and Sadducees were the priests and the rabbis, the aristocracy that represented the conservative view within Judaism. And so you can imagine that Jesus really triggered them. He triggered them. His teachings were not always in alignment with their conservative views. 5 things really tipped the scale for them. Jesus cast out evil spirits from an afflicted man. He ate with a Pharisee without conforming to the ritual of washing before the meal. And he set aside the restrictions on what a Jew might eat. And he healed a sick woman on the Sabbath. And the straw that broke the camel's back was when he raised Lazarus from the dead. That did it. So here he comes into Jerusalem knowing there's a price on his head, and his disciples said, "Please don't go." And he said, "I'm going." I mean, he was there to celebrate and make the pilgrimage, like other Jews, to the temple for Passover. And so Jesus enters Jerusalem on a donkey that he had asked his disciples to get for him. And the symbolism of the donkey really struck me this year. And I've talked about this before, but it just hit me in a new way because he asked his disciples to go get a donkey for him to ride into Jerusalem on. And, during those times, kings and warriors rode into cities on horses. But he chose to ride on a humble donkey. And, donkeys have kind of gotten a bad rap. They have a reputation for being willful and stubborn. And if that's true or not. But the symbolism of that for me is that I believe that Jesus rode into Jerusalem with an intention to be peace, with an intention to be non-resistant and surrender to whatever was ahead of him. And the symbolism of riding on the donkey meant that he was taming his own willful nature. By riding that donkey, it symbolized that to me. And Jerusalem metaphysically means habitation of peace, dwelling place of peace. So Jesus was setting intention to dwell in peace and to tame his any willfulness, to be non-resistant and surrender. And so he comes into Jerusalem, and some people recognize him. Some people lay palms at his feet and lay cloaks on the donkey. And so the stories in the Bible continue about what happened for the duration of the week. So here's Jesus, and with this intention, to be peaceful, and he knows that this is going to be a very stressful week, and it's going to be a difficult week for him to keep his center. And I think that's why he came in, with that intention. And the reason that I really want to talk about this today is because of witnessing Jesus's process in these stories. I feel like it can support us, because how many of us in our heart of hearts want to navigate whatever is before us in life, whatever's stressful in our life, with as peaceful as we possibly can, as compassionate as we possibly can. And sometimes in our process, that's not what shows up in our humanness. And so for me, here's Jesus in his humanness and his claiming, within himself that which he knows is true, is his peaceful nature. But he has to go through his process to get there. And so here he comes into the temple. If you remember the story of the temple, and he goes to the temple and he sees the money changers and he just loses it. And he overturns the tables, and he says, "Get out of here." He says, "My house will be called a house of prayer, but you have turned it into a den of thieves." So he loses his temper. And so I thought, wow, okay, that's very human. How many of us, even in the midst of setting an intention to be as peaceful as we want to be, lose our temper and lash out? And then he walks outside the city, and as he's walking back toward Jerusalem, he's hungry. And so he sees a fig tree, and all he wants is a fig. And he goes up to the fig tree, and all he sees are leaves on the tree. And he gets so frustrated, and he goes, "May you never bear fruit again." And immediately the tree withers. And so I thought, okay, that's Jesus in his humanness. because he's modeling how we can wither and we can hurt and demean others with our temper and judgments when things don't meet our expectations. So clearly, Jesus was in process, even in the midst of setting this intention to be peace and non-resistance. And so then the week continues, and on Thursday, he has this last meal with his beloved disciples. And he knows that one of his very best friends is going to betray him. And yet, he still washes their feet. And then he goes to the Garden of Gethsemane and he takes 3 of his best friends with him, John, James, and Peter. And he goes, "Will you just stay with me?" He was afraid. And he just wanted his pals there with him to pray with him. And they slept. And it was in this moment that Jesus lived into his intention of surrender through the power of his prayer. And if you remember, he said, "If this cup can be taken from me, not my will." So he said, "Not my willfulness, not my way, not my expectations of how I think things should look, not my control, but my willingness. But my willingness." And then the events unfolded of his mock trial and then crucifixion. But what I want to just presence is that Jesus set the intention as he moved into this crucifixion experience, eventual crucifixion experience, to be peaceful and non-resistant. He so wanted to live into his full expression of all that he was, his Christhood. And remember that the metaphysical interpretation of crucifixion is dying to the old. So what the crucifixion represents for us is that dying to the old ways of believing who we are, how we've been told that we're less than being lovable, valuable, capable. It's dying to the old. It's crossing out error thoughts, error beliefs that have us hold ourselves as less than. And so I think Jesus in his process shows us that, okay, we're human and we can set that intention to be peaceful. But when the world, gets chaotic around us and we're struggling, that to be gentle with ourselves as we move through that process, if we lose our center, and the key thing is to be as present as we possibly can. Every Sunday that I've been talking since we've been moving through the coronavirus and the ways that it's impacting us as a society and as a spiritual community and as individuals, the resounding common thread and what is ours to do to navigate it as peacefully as we can is present moment awareness. Because as present as we can be is as non-resistant as we can be, is as surrendered as we can be. And surrendering is a tremendous act of trust and courage and strength. Because it's really saying that I'm letting go of my willfulness of what I think this is going to be. Because if there's ever a time, I think for us as a culture, as a world, we feel out of control. And what do we do when we feel out of control? Often is we want to control. We get more resistant. But what I think Jesus is modeling in this Holy Week experience is that we are in our process. We set the intention to be peace and compassion as much as we possibly can. And when we lose our center, we take a deep breath and we move into present moment awareness as gently and as quickly as we can. And to the best of our ability, we let go of our resistance and surrender to the moment because the moment holds peace, the moment holds possibility, the moment holds love and wisdom about what is ours to do. And we can release our struggle. And, if you were here in my living room with me right now, which I really wish you could be, I'm looking out at trees. I moved here because I love trees, and I'm so fortunate to have many trees in my backyard. And so we're in the beginning of spring, and spring is always that reminder of new life. And it reminded me of how this new life that is budding right now isn't struggling to bud. One of my favorite things to see on a tree is in springtime, those beautiful, bright green, new baby leaves. And they're not struggling to pop through. The flowers don't struggle to grow. The sun doesn't struggle to shine. Growth happens in non-resistance. Transformation happens in non-resistance. And so here we are, folks. We're again in the midst of this awakening of humanity. And if we can be more masterful, I believe, in setting an intention to navigate this time peacefully and as lovingly, as compassionately with ourselves and others as we can. And when we feel ourselves hitting up against resistance, to take a deep breath, to move our focus from out here to in here, to that dwelling place of peace, and to acknowledge lovingly our resistance, and to move with each breath into a space of surrender. Because that's where our peace lies. That's where possibilities lie. And so I'm going to invite you this week. I'm going to give you some homework. That this week, to spend some time in stillness and reflection, and take out your journal if you have a journal, or just grab some sheets of paper and just write stream of consciousness, whatever it is you're resisting in your life. Just write. And I recommend writing at least 3 pages, 3 full pages. Just write, just write, just write. And allow yourself to just express that and get it out. And then I invite you to take some time to take a deep breath in stillness and just breathe into that resistance, any remaining resistance. And just work with accessing that dwelling place of peace within you to surrender that resistance. And tune in on Friday at 7 o'clock for our Good Friday service, because we're going to continue this theme of letting go, of non-resistance, of surrender, because that's where the transformation is. And that's where the resurrection experience happens for us, as we let go and we let the flow and we surrender with great strength and courage and trust. So let's affirm, and I'll repeat, and then I invite you to repeat it after me. I enter the Jerusalem within me. I surrender to what is. And I am filled with a deeper awareness of the peace, the life, and the light of my divine nature. All is truly well. All is true. So now it is time to give from our unlimited abundance and open hearts. And for those of you joining us via YouTube, which you all are this morning, thank you for going to our website or our newsletter to give your gifts online. And here's some prosperity wisdom from How to Change Your Life by one of my favorite New Thought writers, Ernest Holmes. I identify myself with abundance. I surrender all fear and doubt. I let go of all uncertainty. I know there is no confusion, no lack. Divine abundance infills my every good desire right now. So I'm just going to place this little sign here so you can see that. Hopefully you can see that. This is a song by Karen Drucker. Have a beautiful Palm Sunday, everyone. Hope you enjoy some time in this beautiful weather. Bless you, and I look forward to seeing you tonight on our Zoom community chat gathering at 7 o'clock. Bless you.